Okay, so here we go. Got myself one of these funky GoPro 360s and today's flight from Bassano. As you can see, I've been a numpty and taken off without my gloves on because I was in a bit of a rush to take off because the day was truly pumping and I wanted to use that cycle. So straight into a hyperlapse here, heading east. Not having to do much thermaling because the day's pretty strong and pretty on. Okay, it's the 29th of March, we're in Bassano, just flying along the main ridge. It's quite a rough day, we've got quite strong northerlies a bit higher up. It's just probably the reason why it's a bit rough and rock and roll. Just heading east at the moment and we'll see what we can do today. So here I try and get some extra height because the ridge is getting a lot smaller and there's a big crossing coming up, which is a bit of a crux, and so I actually double back on myself here, find a thermal and eventually get enough height to make the crossing work. Okay, so just on my first glide, crossing this river, kind of the first crux really. I make it across with a reasonable amount of height and can slowly make my way back up again, although the thermals are a bit broken because there's quite a bit of wind and I guess it's venturing into the valley at this point. But once I get established a bit higher, then things are working quite well because I've got the westerly wind behind me, so I'm making quick progress in this direction. So I think I'm going to turn around there just because it's quite a lot of quite strong southwesterly winds, which means now I'm going to have to push against those to come back, which is going to make life harder. Pushing back now to the west and into wind a bit, so the going gets a little tougher, although things are still working out okay. I get plenty of height here and I hope to make the crossing back. I've got to hope for another climb really to make it across. So hopefully a climb's coming up somewhere around here, otherwise I'm going to be very low for this crossing. Fingers crossed. As you can probably hear, I got a lot of sink. Didn't find another climb, which is a bit annoying. And I think rather than risk crossing with low altitude, which probably won't work, I'll head back and try and get high again. Same as before really, it was quite hard work to get high, and as you can see I have to work quite hard to climb up at the start. Eventually though, I get high enough to where a lot of the thermals are triggling and joining together. Oh, that was an awful thermal. So gnarly. Just fighting the wing the whole time. Hopefully 1,800 metres is enough to cross now. But either way, I'm trying. I don't fancy going back there again. So I had plenty of height this time, and I even found a bit of convergence, I guess, in the middle to keep it topped up. So I arrived at a reasonable height above the lower slopes, although now, as you can see, I'm drifting a lot with the wind and they're not very steep, so the going's a little bit trickier, although it was still working fine. So I'm up at 1,600-ish. And as you can probably tell, getting blown from the north wind, which has kicked in quite strong. And then if you get low, then you've got the westerlies to deal with, so this is making life quite difficult for getting back. the hyper speed really shows the northerly wind higher up, which is quite cool really. And now I gain more southerly facing larger ridges. The going gets pretty easy and I don't really even have to turn much at all just to progress along, because the thermals are pretty strong, and so I decide to keep pushing it to the west. So I passed launch and I'm going to extend my route a bit further to the west, hopefully. Sinky glide. Hope that doesn't mean there's strong westerlies down here. It's 3 o'clock, so things are going to start to wind down soon. But they're kind of... Sadly I didn't really catch any more footage because my GoPro ran out of battery. Pushed things a bit further to the west and then came back and then went out into the flats for a nice finish to the day. GoPro ran out of battery, but yeah, I made it back sort of to take off and then came out to the flats, found therm on the flats. Now I'm just kind of on final glide really, going back towards the takeoff. Sorry, going back towards the landing. I hope you've enjoyed flying along with me today on James Airways.